Sims back, James Smith-Williams concussion, Montez Sweat concussion, Trey Turner knee, and Chase Young knee. All of them were limited. And then 2 full participants, Sam Cosme ankle and Jamin Davis thumb. That's all. No DMPs though.
Like we start with Chase, and just how did he come in today? And, we know he's limited, but how did he come in? How's the knee looking? And,
right. Well, he came in prepared, ready to go, and did the pretty much the reps that we had set aside for him, and moved around pretty good, all things considered, with the weather.
Coming off the bye, what did you think about how they responded in terms of energy, and what did you see from them today?
Oh, I'm more than happy with the energy. I thought the guys were energized. We had some mental mistakes, some things that little details we got to clean up. That's probably the biggest thing I'm coming away from today. I appreciate their enthusiasm, their attentiveness. Meetings, they were good. They were all attentive. I thought they handled that well. Like I said, there's some little minor details that we gotta make sure get cleaned up tomorrow.
Your center position, obviously with Tyler out, what's sort of the thought at this point with between Schweitzer and Nick Martin?
Well, we moved Wes to center. He was starting for us at one point, and it's good to have him back. It really is. He played well last week when he had to go in and play guard for us. Now he's going to get an opportunity to get him back to center, which is I think a great spot for him. Smart football player, good football player. So. He came back at a good time for us.
And with some shuffling on the offensive line, what's the challenge going up against the Giants? They had a pretty good pass rush against you guys the last game. What's the challenge with a different group in there?
Well, I think the biggest thing is we just got to make sure we can communicate in terms of what the protections are, and anytime they have to run stunts or anytime they're running pressures, we got to be able to pick them up and handle them.
Ron, the defense has proven itself the last couple of months without Chase, without needing Chase especially, and I know he's going to be on a pitch count probably when he comes back. But this organization did draft him second for a reason, and I just wonder how you meld not wanting to put too much pressure on him as he comes back, but also knowing he may be capable of providing a big moment in a big game like this on Sunday.
Absolutely, David, and that's the thing that we have to be mindful of. First and foremost is, you don't want to throw them out there and overuse them. So we most certainly got to be very wary of what the pitch count will be. And it'll all be based on how he practices and in terms of his preparation to get himself ready to go. But also, as you said, there's always that potential with him. He's got the skill set. He's got the ability. Now we just got to make sure he's out there and ready to roll.
Ron, we know what the results have been over the last 7 weeks, very positive. Do you feel like underlying that there is a foundation for sustained success, sustained winning, not just Sunday, but into next year even?
Well, that's what we're hoping to get to. I mean, with what's been happening with our young players playing and contributing, that helps. That kind of tells you that we're heading in the right direction. And with the right mix of veterans, and you do feel like you have the type of foundation that you can sustain. That's what we're hoping for. That's what we're trying to build. And again, we got to continue with that. But the more the young players get to play the last couple of years, including this year as well, it's been very beneficial because that's where your core is going to come from. Because as they develop and grow as a group together, you can add from that point on, and that's really kind of what we're hoping to do.
Ron, you've talked to the players about the significance of this game, but is there a balance you have to strike of not making this bigger than it is? Like, is there a balance of not putting so much importance on a one game?
No, I don't think there has to be. I think what has to be is this is the most important game we're going to play because it's the one we're about to play, and that's the focus. That's the way we're going to approach it, Scott. Because again, no matter how you look at it, things will happen one way or the other. If you win, it's great. It puts you in an even better position. If you lose, now you're really in the hole, and you got to work yourself out of the next most important game you're going to play. So that's going to be the emphasis. This is an important game. It's very important for us. It'll help dictate the direction that we're headed.
Sunday Night Football, primetime spotlight, only game on at that time. Home field advantage. What's the message to the fans? Obviously, having a home field advantage in this important of a game, how important is that, and what kind of message do you want to send to the fans right now of being present and being loud?
Well, just that's pretty much it. You said it for me. I mean, that's what we need for them to be there and to be loud and be supportive. we've worked to try and become relevant. We've worked to try and get their attention and their focus back on us. And to have, the fan support out there, that would be awesome. It really would. And again, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to show them and earn their respect back that, hey, we are doing everything we can to get going in the direction we want to be, and we want to play the type of football that will get them to come out and cheer for us.
In your time here, you guys have had some pretty big moments in these primetime games so far. The Steelers, the Eagles this year, at the playoff game, obviously. Anything in particular you feel your team, the players do well in these moments?
They do. There's just something about the attention. I think we've got guys that seem to relish the opportunity of the moment. This will be a little different set of circumstances, more so than anything else, just because right now we're favored. And so we have to handle that success, and we've got to be able to handle the situation and circumstances that we've put ourselves into.
With Brian Robinson, obviously he had both the shooting and the recovery from that, but also he's a rookie, and this is his first 17-game season. How do you make sure you get what you need from him and keep him fresh down the stretch?
Well, he missed the first 4, so I think that that he's now in a really good spot. I think coming off of a week bye, really for him in his situation, should really help benefit. I really do. I think that he handled those first 4 games that he was just doing the rehab stuff. I thought he handled them very, very well in terms of keeping himself focused. And really there wasn't that physical pounding he was taking, although he was rehabbing. And then as we got him back and we slowly integrated him back into it, he really kind of started to see he wanted more and more and more. And I think that's really kind of where he is. He just wants to continue to get better. He wants to continue to work, and he wants to continue to be out there as a football player.
Ron, a couple of things. One about the weather. A couple of weeks ago, we asked you about the NFC East and what that could mean in December. Now that we're here, there's no more domes, there's no more turf, it's grass. You, Ron Rivera, and the staff, do you relish like the griminess of what could happen in December as far as weather and just inclement conditions? Do you all?
We do. Just days like today, it's cold. But the truth of the matter is we look forward to it just because we're an outside team. Grass is a big part of our element as well. And so, we want to put ourselves in position so that later on as we, I don't want to get too far ahead, but you want to be a team that wins home field advantage in the playoffs because you want people to come and play in the elements. You want them to come, especially the teams that are coming from the West, the South, and from the domes. You want them to have to play in those elements, and so it is special. I think that's also part of why being able to run the ball well and efficiently plays very well into what we want to do, especially this time of year.
And one of the cool things about having you as a coach is that you get to give us a glimpse of playing on one of those legendary Bears teams. Not asking you to make any comparisons, but the team that you have, the defense and the characters and the people that you have now on this team, you have any similarities between the times when with the Dan Hamptons and the Fridge and Jim McMahon? There's characters on this team too.
There are.
Yeah, sometimes you laugh at some of the similarities.
I do. There are some things that do remind me. Some of the things. Like, I'll start with, with Buddy Ryan. Buddy spoke his mind, and that's what I get with Jack. Jack's honest up front, and he speaks his mind. I think that's cool. I think it's important for the players to know where they stand. When you sit there and you look at some of the personalities that we have on that defensive line, and, Jonathan it reminds me an awful lot of a Dan Hampton type guy. He really does. He's a tough hombre type guy. That's what you get with Jonathan. You get that toughness. You got a little bit of that gunslinger when you talk about Taylor and you compare that to Jimmy Mack in terms of personalities. Each team has its own personality, and we got some guys with personalities.
Hey, Ron, I know it's kind of a similar situation for the Giants on the other side, too, but this is now the 3rd week in a row where you guys are basically preparing for the Giants. One, I guess, have you ever had an experience in your career like this where it's been so long focused on one team? And how much do you think that benefits you guys going into such a big game like this?
Well, when I was in Carolina, we played the Saints back-to-back. And actually that was into the regular season going into the playoffs. So it was a little different set of circumstances because it was playoffs. But here, getting in this situation, I've never had that. I mean, it's where, for 3 weeks straight, you pretty much have focus on one team. What we tried to do last week was really focus on us more so than anything else. We did talk about the Giants. We did review some of the stuff. And as coaches, we had an opportunity to get a little bit ahead. So coming into this week, our guys, our coaches are really prepared. Players have come back, and they picked up right where we left off. As I said, though, my only concern today is we were a little sloppy. We had some things that we got to shore up and tighten up.
Hey, Ron. Obviously, the main point for your guys' defense is to stop Daniel Jones. You've talked about how elusive he is, but is there anything specifically that the defense is really focusing on heading into Sunday night?
Not necessarily. I mean, we have to be able to handle theirs very well. They run the ball very well. They run the ball very well with their backs. Saquon, I think, is one of the premier guys in this league, and it's good to see him back. Honestly, I do mean that because he is a premier player. But we also got to be able to handle when they run with the quarterback. That's the other part of their offense that we have to be able to handle. And then off of that, they've got very good play action, very good screen game. So if you can slow the running game down, you can make their screen game and their play action a little less effective. But then as a drop back passer, especially a deep ball thrower, he throws a good ball. So we've got to be prepared for what they do as an offense.
Ron, the Wizards right now are kind of down. The Caps, they have Ovi, but they're kind of down. What do you think a run, if you guys go on a run, could do for the city, and just how much would that
put some
need?
pressure on me. I think it'd be good. I really do. I mean, because we feed off of each other in terms of the professional organizations around here, and when the Caps were up and the Nats were up, I mean, it was good for the area. It really is. I mean, and so for us to be in a situation we are and to understand that we can help impact the community around us, I think that's a pretty cool thing. So we as an organization, we as a football team, just have to understand the importance of it and go out and do our jobs.
Going back to Wes Schweitzer, he was in the protocol for so long. He's dealt with that. Him getting extended playing time, I know there are things that he necessarily can't control with that, but do you worry about him at all? Are you surprised that he's back after going
I do worry about him, just because. But he did play, half a game last week, which was good. So it's kind of like building it back up through training camp, when you're in the preseason. But the nice thing about it, too, is Wes is a very conscientious young man. He did a lot of work, while he was in the protocol, going through what he goes through in that. And he stayed in shape. He really did. I mean, he came back. He was in tremendous physical shape, and it's good to see him back healthy and good to see him back out there playing.
Coach, what's the key to continue to develop a guy like Christian Holmes, who very short period of time kind of thrust into a starting job, plays really well in a win, and then not so well in a not win? How that can kind of affect a young guy. What's the message to him and kind of the key to developing him further?
That's all part of it. It's not all going to be clear sailing. You're going to come across, and understand that somewhere along the line there's going to be a bump, and he did. He had a little bit of a bump. They picked on him a little bit, and he's got to understand now. You're going to get an opportunity again when you got to respond. How he handles it, how he deals with it, is what's going to help develop him as a football player. And we did talk to him afterwards, just so he understood that this is what's going to happen. You're going to have good days. You're going to have bad days. One of the neat things is I know Kendall Fuller talked to him a little bit too for us on the side, just trying to get him to understand that that's all part of it. And if you get beat, you move on to the next one and just don't let it happen again.
After what Curtis went through last year with the injuries, just how big has this year been for him to be able to play each week and be a contributor on offense?
I think it's been outstanding. It really has, Pete. I think, last year, going through the surgery and, we wanted to keep it quiet. We didn't want, it out there and people constantly hammering on it, and it turned out to be the wrong thing. We should have just let everybody know right off the bat, hey, he had to have surgery, and he's rehabbing. It's going to take time. I think we got a little anxious and got ahead of ourselves, and that's on us. But he's handled it very well this year. He's responded. He got into training camp, came in training camp. They had a ramp-up program they did with him, and he got ahead of it, and we had to slow him down. And he accepted that, which was great. And then as it started to get where he could really take off, he did. Him being a big part of what we've done and the success we've had, I think, is what we envisioned when we brought him here last season. Unfortunately, it didn't work because of the injury. But now that he's healthy and watching his contribution, that's what it's all about, is understanding that his skill set is very important to what we're doing offensively.
What do you think his biggest impact, where his fingerprints most are on the offense?
I think, the potential that he may have the ball, he may get the ball, because when you start running all that jet motion now there's always that chance for the jet sweep, or there's always a chance for him to end up back in the backfield, and now we can run downhill with him. We can flare him out. We can put him out into a route, or we can just bubble him from behind the line of scrimmage. Then he lines up in the slot, and now a linebacker is going to have to cover him, in zone, and now he can work off of that guy. Or you put him out at the X with the Z, and he's out wide on a corner that we feel he can run by, and we'll throw it deep to him. So just the potential that he brings, I think, is the impact that he makes.
Has that versatility, especially horizontally, been more important because you guys haven't been able to throw downfield as much?
Right, and what that does is it spreads and it stresses certain members of the defense, and that's one of the things that when you start seeing a guy go in motion, and all of a sudden the defense starts to react, and there's 3 or 4 guys moving. That's now to your benefit, because now this he moves, we move one guy, they maybe move 4. Now all of a sudden somebody gets out of position and we hit it right. It creates a big play. So sometimes that horizontal movement is valuable.
What did you see specifically that you'd like your team to improve on down the stretch?
Well, I mean, we get into the red zone, we score, but we have to score touchdowns. That was one of the things that we talked about of being a benefit. Another thing too is obviously some of the stuff that we do on defense, and I know Jack, one of their concerns obviously was early on quarterback play. Quarterbacks that run the ball have given us a little bit of trouble early. The last few we've played, we've been able to make good adjustments in the second half, but Jack doesn't want to have to do that all the time. He wants us to be good from the beginning. So I know that was one of the things that they talked about specifically.
All right, thanks, Coach.
All right, cool. Thank you, guys.